Hello everyone, how are you? Welcome to some more Little Box of Crochet videos. It's June 2020 and we're looking at beautiful Marilla, the mermaid cushion. Isn't she gorgeous? I just received my own box today of Marilla. I've been working on her for a little while, but the actual box came through this morning and I just squealed through it. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Are you loving it? I absolutely loved opening it. I was so excited to receive it. It's lovely. Squished full, of course, and not least of quite a lot of yarn. We've got two of the cigar colour here. I've just got one out to show you the colours. Two of this one. We've got green ice. I have to keep looking at that one because I want to call it seed glass, but it's green ice, turquoise, pesto, my favourite ever, black, lovely little ball of raspberry for her gorgeous little mouth, and let's just look at it, shall we? Glamour in silver. It's beautiful. It goes all the way through Marilla in various parts, tail, hair, all sorts of places. Just gives it that real kind of sea, sparkly, magical feel. It's lovely to have that in the box as well. So what I'm going to do is do a quick introduction with some overview of some techniques and discussions of how Marilla is going to be made, and then we'll make some of the bits and bobs together and put her all together at the end. I thought I'd start this time with some general techniques, and I'm going to start with working with Glamour, this kind of metallic yarn. It's absolutely beautiful. It's obviously sort of a more open weave than your cotton that you'll be going to be working with all the way through. And a tip that I found really helpful, when I've cut the ends after I've finished working with Glamour, if you just tie a little knot in the end, it will stop any fraying or anything like that. So that's a little tip for working with Glamour yarn. Next up in your box, you should have one of these amazing stitch gauges from Yarnistry. You can also see down the side here, you've got this little gap. This gap's going to show you what size your hook is. So if I put my hook in, that you can see, if I pull that all the way down, it stops at 2.5. Is that clever? Can you see that? Amazing. Love that. I'm really delighted that we've got this in this box because I wanted to have a word with you about the tension of your project. Please do pay attention to your project. I'm going to show you a little example in a minute of how it can kind of go awry, but we do use the whole lot of the yarn in this project, so please do keep your eye on it. You don't want to run out. It's very annoying. So if you haven't used one of these gauges before, I'm just going to show you how to do it. I'm just going to line up the bottom with the bottom of a row of stitches, and if you look at the side, I've got a gauge here which is showing me this is a 2-inch square or a 5 centimeter square. In our book, our stitch gauge is given to us over a 10 centimeter square, which is absolutely fine because all I'm going to do is count what's in here and double it, and count the stitch, the rows and double it. So it's absolutely fine. This is perfectly big enough for sort of checking the gauge. Now you'll notice I've got my gauge here on a piece that's completed already. So if I was going to check my gauge, I'd check it really early on, kind of as soon as I'd got enough to fill the window, really, because if it's not right, you're going to need to take it back and change your hook size. So what I would do with the gauge, and I can't get my head over it enough to see because I've got the tripod in the way, but I would count the stitches along within that along the bottom here within that little window. I did it earlier and it's pretty much bang on what we need, and likewise I would count the rows in the window going that way. And again, I'm just about there with my gauge this time, which is really good, except let me show you what happened when I just didn't take note of what I was doing. So this piece here that I've got my hand on here is obviously you can see it's kind of her front, Marilla's front, and what I'm going to show you here is the gusset, which is going to go all the way around Marilla and attach the front to the back. Lovely. It's a very plain piece of double crochet work which won't cause anybody any problems at all to make. If you can crochet, you will know how to do double crochet. what I wanted to show you is this. If I just move it to one side, look at the difference in my gauge between the brown or the cigar on the left and the green ice on the right. If I line up, I've lined up the bottom of a row here, and you can see there are far fewer rows on the cigar piece than there are on the green ice piece. Can you see that? And when I line it up against my actual worked piece, the body piece, again, it's tricky to tell too easily on here, but my gauge has changed from what I've done here to what I've done here. So this piece, I'm getting fewer rows per inch than I am over here, which means when I do the full row count here, it's going to be a lot bigger than it would be if I was using this tension, which is fine, except of course when I go to fit the gusset around the piece, it's going to be too big. So do try to keep your eye on the tension. I'll cover off how you can sort that out with the gusset when we get to that point, but please do try and keep your eye on your tension. If you're getting too many stitches and too many rows, that means you need to go up a hook size and try again. If you're getting too few stitches, so in this kind of territory, and too few rows in that, when you count your gauge, you need to go down a hook size. Okay, so Eleonora does give us our stitch gauge in the booklet, so please do pay attention to that because it's really, really important. Right, so a quick note of what we're not going to cover in the videos. I'm not going to cover anything that is sort of straightforward, just straightforward crochet really. We've got some pieces here which are just made with bog standard double crochet stitches, that's UK terminology. The body pieces are worked flat, the gusset is worked flat, and the arms are worked in a spiral in the round. So all straightforward double crochet and nothing that you need me to sort of sit and work through row by row with you. There's 360 odd rows in here. Neither of us would come out well at the end of that, would we, if we went through line by line? So I think those pieces you know are absolutely straightforward and fine. Just a quick note, if you want to, because I'm still working one of the arms here, it's worked in a spiral as I mentioned, and what that means is that you don't fasten off with a slip stitch at the end of each round. So what I've got here is I've got my first stitch of the round marked with my stitch marker, and when I get to it I take my stitch marker out, just put her down. Love the mermaid, love it with all my heart. I make the first stitch of the next round and then I put the marker back in, and that's how I know I've made a round and can count it off as I work the arm. Okay, so that's working in a spiral, not fastening off with a slip stitch.